Continuing with the teaching on Amitabha Buddha. So, how we face death, and I think how we face change, it's actually is the same or similar. Because when we are facing death, we are actually facing a very big change. Big change, because many of the things which we are familiar, our home, family, the very body, we are leaving behind. And in the day-to-day life also, whenever we face change, especially when the change is unplanned and forced upon us, it becomes it's very difficult for us to accept it. So if you kind of put it in a very short way, how do we face death is actually, you can call it another way of calling it is how do we face changes. So how do we face changes to understand that, that what we are, when we have a idea that something has suddenly changed, is not actually the moment of change, but change is something that's happening consistently, continuously. As we mentioned yesterday, from the moment you are born, you are getting old every second. From the moment you have built a new house, every second the structure is going through change. The relationship, everything is going through constantly change. So that the understanding is not something like that only when something happens, then suddenly the change is very kind of when we go through some difficult thing, that time the change is very kind of very obvious to us, very big change, so we notice that. But in day-to-day life, every time there's changes are happening all the time. We may not realize it, but it is a continuation. From yesterday to today, how many hours have gone through? In 1 minute, how many seconds have gone through? Our physical body, our life has gone through constant changes, and that is something that is unstoppable. So that's why so accepting or understanding the changing nature of phenomena that's happening all the time is actually the key to understanding accepting, the process of dying, for all of us. That's why in the beginning of the Pardo prayer by the second Gyalwa, it says that Namo Ma Mudaya Chukun Gyumata or Tujiva Mada Gyuma Letum Tamway Kunye Gyumeto That it means that the essence of meaning is that those, the Buddha who have understood the meaning of the illusion, meaning of the, the illusory life, who have attained the understanding of the illusory, understanding the illusory nature of the, the phenomena of the world. Please help me so that may I also understand the illusory nature, illusory nature of my life, so that I can remain calm and accept this change that is happening, the death, the process of dying, or process of the major change that I am going through right now. So when we say illusion, what does illusion mean? Illusion, means that something that looks, very, for example, somebody will say, oh, he is a great illusionist. Or you can even say that even, the televisions, that images that we see in the TV are illusioned. Why is it illusion? Because it is not really there, but due to the, signal and the screen and the electricity and the lumens, whatever, all these conditions come together, it looks like the image is very real and very solid. Similarly, the whatever we are seeing right now, whatever looks solid, is due to all of these cause and conditions coming together, and then you have so-called body. Even the very body that we have is is a combination of all this, blood, flesh, bone, cells, blood, all this coming together. Then there's something called physical form, right? So then you have then even the so-called the I, or the consciousness that we have idea about the I and so is also it's a combination of all of these thoughts. Then you give it identity as a chain of consciousness, identity as a self. So if you look at it, if you have to define one thing as your body that is inherently existing, there's not only your body, but even the house, whatever the form, we will not find. Even if you break down all the sounds also, firstly the pleasant, unpleasant sounds are again our concept. And sound itself, if you break it down, if you are some sort of a scientist, I'm sure that you can say the sound is combination of the air and oxygen, whatever you break it down, there is no such a single thing or sound inherently existing. Similarly, the whatever emotions we are going through, also if you look into its nature, you will not find, oh, this is happiness. You may experience it, right? Illusion, when all things come together, then you can see the image in the television. Similarly, like when all the cause condition comes together, we experience certain emotions. For example, when the right cause and condition come together, the sea rises up into looks like a wave. But where did the wave come from? It is nothing other than the ocean. Similarly, when the cause and condition comes, we have emotions of happiness, sadness, very emotion, but then these emotion, aside from this condition, the emotion doesn't have an inherent reality. So understanding these, so and as I said, as we mentioned yesterday also, for example, if we had to give somebody $1, we can let go. If you have to give $100, we can't let go, right? So we might think that actually it is the physical thing we can't let go, but it's actually the concept or the idea we have of something called value existing inherently in a $1, in $100, or $1 million. That is what actually is holding us back. It's not the money itself or the object itself, but some sort of concept that that there is something that inherently existing. So that is why the prayer Pardo, it just says, may I understand the illusory, the nature of my life, illusory nature of the form, sound, and the thought. Now, for a beginner like us, maybe it is difficult to understand these things, right? So if it's difficult for us, then the easiest thing that we can do is just to remember the impermanent nature of the life, right? My life, from the moment I was born is going through constant change. Whatever I have done from my past till now is nothing but a memory. There's nothing to show. Even if I live another 100 years, whatever I experience will go through constant change. At the end of another 100 years, I'll have nothing to show except memory. There's a saying that whether you dream for 100 years or whether you dream for one night, when you wake up, both of these are illusion. Both of these are nothing to you. Can nothing really solid that you can that grasp or show, but memories. So that is why whether you live long or you live short, when it's the inherently there's nothing really to grasp or show, something that's unchanging and solid. So that is one way. And then the second is to the offering to Amitabha Buddha, right? Or your guru or whatever, or your guru or your practice, whichever is your practice. Maybe it's the Green Dara, maybe it's Guru Padma Sambhava, but for now we are talking of Amitabha Buddha, so the making offering to Amitabha Buddha. Right? Now, offering also. Some people might think that maybe when I'm about to die, I cannot really offer anything because maybe that time I can't speak, and my property is already been transferred by my relatives, right? And while I'm lying in the bed, they have discussed, already transferred. There's nothing you can do, right? You might think like that, but in the reality, even when it is in your own hand, you have the power to sign and give away. In reality, the ownership is also in our mind. And when you feel now it no longer belongs to me, it's also in your concept. So basically, you go around, you find a nice house, and then you go and sign some paper and you give some money, right? Money is a concept, contract is a concept. Only thing is this concept is supported by two people and supported by the so-called the law, So you feel is more solid, but actually, just because 100 people believes your concept doesn't make it more real. Right? That's why again you sell it after a few years, and then suddenly you say, "Oh, this is no longer my house, no longer my husband, no longer my family, or no longer we are now ex-husband, ex-wife, whatever. Nothing has changed except the concept." So that's why even the wealth that when we even right now, when we say it is something ours, belongs to me. It is the sense of belonging is also happening in your mind. Sense of letting go is also happening in your mind. That is why, if you can offer from the depth of your heart, even if you have nothing physical to offer, but from your heart you can offer to Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, especially to Guru Amitabha Buddha, accumulation of merit is the same, purification is the same. So that is why, the offering, as I mentioned yesterday, Chipa is about letting go. Right? And letting go, the most important and most difficult is the letting go of the mind, That is the most difficult. That's why yesterday we were joking that even with your ex-husband or your wife, you still get angry, even though they're already ex, because you cannot let go of your mind, your concept, right? So, now, and now talking of the Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, as we mentioned yesterday, all the Buddhas have different Pure Lands, because when you are about to become a Buddha, you have an ability to choose, what kind of Pure Land you wish to create or you wish to manifest from your, as a result of your accumulation of merit. So different Buddhas have different Pure Land. But there are not only different Pure Land, but there are billions of Pure Land. Guru Padma Sambhava has copper-colored mountain. Akshubhya Buddha, I think, has his own Pure Land. I think if I'm correct, in the eastern direction. The Tara has a Pure Land. Koyulokupa in the southern direction. There are different Pure Lands are there. And anyway, and not only Pure Land, but when we die, unless we have purified all the karma, we have to, our consciousness will take rebirth according to our karma. So since we have to take a rebirth, rather than take rebirth in the sixth realm, we have to it's advisable to make a aspiration to be reborn into Pure Land. And among these Pure Land, Amitabha Buddha Pure Land is recommended because the entry level, the visa is very easy to get. Because Amitabha Buddha wanted it that way. Not only that way, it was one of his commitment. Amitabha Buddha said that, when I become enlightened, that even just as if someone can remember me, if someone can remember my name, visualize me and think of me. When that person die, I will definitely, I promise, I vow that I will constantly be on lookout for all of these sentient beings, and I will be there to guide them personally to Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, right? And that is his commitment, and that commitment was made, and combined with the eons and eons of practices and accumulation of merit, purification. And accumulation of merit doesn't mean like us, we offer a few dollars here and there, or a few lambs here and there, and now accumulated merit. Or maybe we offer a toy, and then after some time we have, and before finishing offering, we are thinking of eating the toy, and that kind of offering, is not really, When I talk of accumulation merit by the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they give away their kingdom, their body, their head, for lives and lives to come. Dedicate, many lives and lives to practice meditation, generosity, discipline, and all of these are dedicated for one single purpose by Amitabha Buddha, that when I become enlightened, may I be able to liberate all sentient beings, and may I be able to guide them to Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, to my Pure Land. So that is why Amitabha Buddha is relatively easier to get. Other Pure Lands, you have to be reaching very high level of realization. It is said the copper-colored mountain is also relatively easy to, but masters, they usually recommend Amitabha Buddha Pure Land to make an aspiration. Also because in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, Amitabha Buddha is like the father, because he also represents the Dhammakaya, and from he also manifested, like for example, from his right hand manifested the Avalokiteshvara, Terezi, from his left hand manifested the Tara, from his heart, in order to tame the beings of the difficult beings, he manifested the Guru Padma Sambhava. So that's why above Avalokiteshvara head also you will see Amitabha Buddha. Above Green Tara also you will see Amitabha Buddha statue. And Guru Padma Sambhava's biography only he wrote that, my father is Amitabha Buddha. In his Namtar it is there. So that is why, in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, all the Buddhas are there. And if you read the kind of the description of Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, it is said that once you are in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, you can go to many other countries. It's like once you have an American passport, you can go to Canada. No problem. They will say welcome. No problem for you. Similar like that. Right? So now, in order to be Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, basically there are 4 conditions. Right? That four kind of the requirements. The first one is to have a belief, have an understanding that what Buddha Shakyamuni said, have some sort of the conviction based on the understanding. And this conviction is very important. It is important to remember Amitabha Buddha right now and his Pure Land, and make generate the strong wish to be reborn is very important. It is important, I feel, is because it doesn't say in the Sutra, just says it's very important. But I personally always feel that, that when you are, in the Sutra it is said that, when we pass away, when we die, our mind is not, right now our mind is change our body. Right? So for example, you may think whatever, you may want to go to India, go to wherever, but your body is in America, so your body is, cannot really, mind is bound by the body. But when you no longer have a body, your mind can go, if you think of one place, immediately it's there because there's no physical restraint. So that is why when we are in the intermediate stages, if you don't have a stronger aspiration to be born Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, our mind might get born somewhere else. In the Pardo realm, it is said that when you feel that there is a strong wind and heat, and you feel great fear, and you feel the need to take a shelter, and you take a shelter under a leaf, that's how your fear and hope draws your consciousness to the animal realm. That leaf is basically you are now being born as maybe a worm or maybe a bird, like that. And you feel great cold and you feel the need for warmth. And then due to your negative karma and combined with the hope and fear, then we are born into the hell realm, which is very warm. Even to born somewhere, you need some sort of, your mind has to go there basically. Even you are born into human being also, it is said that from far you can see your father and mother. If you are a girl, if you're going to be born as a girl, then you will feel sort of attachment, affection, attachment towards the father and anger towards the mother. So this anger and attachment propels you to born into the human realm. If you're going to be a boy as a boy, then it's different, So basically you need that, because without anger or attachment, we don't do anything, If you come to America, if you go to town, either you will go because you're attached to something, you want something, the desire is there, desire to buy something, desire to meet somebody, there. Or you will go because yesterday he said something to me, now I have to go personally go and fix him up, Until then I cannot go and have a peace. Yesterday he said something, I couldn't reply, now I will go and see him and give him a piece of my mind, And for that you will go, even if it's $100, you don't mind, right? So, in order for us, even right now, to go somewhere, either we are propelled by desire or by anger. Similarly, when we take rebirth also, that desire and anger, is the, what you call it, like the propellant that pushes you. So if you don't have from now aspiration about understanding of Amitabha Buddha and his pure land, and I always joke that if you are some alcoholic, your mind will probably go to the nearest bar rather than the pure land of Amitabha Buddha. And there have been stories in the Sutra that there came a time when Amitabha Buddha came to welcome that person, but he was very attached to his gold. He had some sort of gold chain. He couldn't let go, And this actually, this happened. This happened, and somehow he was not able to reborn because his mind couldn't let go, right? Even right now, when we in a way I understand, that oftentimes, people will say that they want to go to this place, they want to go to Bodh Gaya, they want to do many things, they want to practice, but then there's nobody at home, right? So home sort of binds them, right? Or my job, I'm not saying it in a bad way, but I'm saying it's also, you may not realize it, but our home is binding us with a chain of attachment, right? So we are not able to do anything. We are not able to do many things we want to do because attachment binds us, right? Other people are able to do many things, but we are not able to do things, right? So I guess, if myself also, if I'm bound like that, I think, we will not be able to see each other, right? I will have to worry about so many things too. So anyway, so that is why the first one is, I think, remembering Amitabha Buddha, pure land, remembering him and his pure land, and generating the sense of, the respect and devotion, I think, is the number one thing. And then the second thing is the accumulation merit. Merit can be anything, accumulating, even if you give some dollar to somebody, prostration, whatever, maybe nyumne, doing nyumne, whatever, and the purification of negative karma. So the number two. And number three is that if you want to be reborn Amitabha Buddha pure land, you have to make an aspiration that myself and all the sentient beings be reborn Amitabha Buddha pure land. Or make an aspiration that I want to be reborn Amitabha Buddha pure land, so that I can study directly under the guidance of Amitabha Buddha, Guru Rinpoche, Chizen Drama. And when I become enlightened, then I'll come back to liberate all the sentient beings. So this is important because firstly, Amitabha Buddha is a place for the Bodhisattva. Bodhisattva means someone who works for the benefit of sentient being. In order for us to have a merit, the selflessness, the bodhicitta is the greatest source of merit. If you have to compare between one person who gives billions of dollars in donations, and if there's one person who makes an aspiration that I wish nothing for myself, but I wish to give happiness to, enlightenment to all the sentient beings, liberate every sentient being from from their suffering and give them enlightenment. That, for one moment of that sort of bodhicitta thought, has a much more accumulation of merit than physically giving of $1 billion. Why is it there? Because firstly also, giving $1 billion, giving something that is, giving something physically is much more difficult, much more easier than letting go of yourself and one's ego and one's selfishness, and to dedicate for all sentient is much more difficult. And if you're able to do that, if you give something, maybe that means you are helpful to somebody, you gave away one-time donation. But if you are someone who wish to benefit all sentient beings at all times, everything you say will be beneficial. If you say something, you will say, you will probably start with, what can I say that will help that person? What can I do that will help this community? Everything you say, do will automatically benefit other people. Everything you do will be accumulation of merit. Accumulation of merit doesn't have to be go to temple or do some chanting. Everything you do is for the sake of benefiting others. Everything becomes accumulation of merit in the path of the Bodhisattva. So that is why when you make aspiration to Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, this sort of aspiration, the third bodhicitta aspiration, is the third quality needed. And then the fourth quality needed is the dedication. Because it is said that whenever we do something, like merit, if we do not dedicate it, it can be destroyed by a few things. Number one, I think the dedication destroying is the boasting about it. So I always joke, that when people nowadays, when they want to do some prayer or practice, first thing they will do is update their status, in the social media. Today I'm at this temple doing Nyumne, right? You haven't even finished the Nyumne, but you've already announced to the world, right? But you might think that, what's wrong with that? But if you really think about it, if you put so much in the social media, right, especially for your own practice, now if you're doing as an organization, you don't have a choice. You have to let people know this is happening and you are welcome to come, or they have done a very good job to inspire other people. But when you are doing your individual practice, if you are putting up in too much of social media, it's not very beneficial. It's not beneficial because, then even if you do it very well, you might have to ask yourself, am I doing it well? Because now I already announced in social media. If I go home, they will say, "Wait, I thought you were doing Nyumne here. What are you coming back? How can you eat dinner?" Right? So deep in your heart, you want to eat. You don't want to do practice, but you are doing it for the sake of public appearance. What people will think, and that means your practice has already been corrupted. There will be no transformation, because you are not doing it for transformation of your mind or benefiting others, but for to match your social media update. So that's why it's recommended that when you do practices, individually, it's very good to keep it low profile. And keep it low profile, because anyway, your Dharma is between you and your next life, your Guru and your own consciousness, nothing to do with other people. Right? This is nothing, So that's why it's not really recommended to boast too much the good things we do. Right? And also boasting creates jealousy, competition, unnecessary many headaches. So that's why that when you do boast like that, it decreases the merit. And after you have done something very good, immediately after, if you get angry, that also diminishes your merit. So that's why after we have done something very good, to dedicate it is very important. So for example, for this particular topic, after you have done the whatever good deed, I say I dedicate my merit so that in the future, myself and every sentient being will be reborn Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. Or when I die, Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. Today is my practice dedicated. So once it's dedicated, it's already given. It's already invested. It's already gone. So then it will not be diminished. So that's why these four, remembering Amitabha Buddha and his Pure Land, and accumulating merit and purification. And then the third is the bodhicitta heart, for you, not only for yourself but for all sentient beings. And then the fourth one is the dedication. So if you have these four qualities, if you're ordinary people like that, that means that sometimes you're a good person, you help other people. Sometimes you get a little bit irritated with your family. You're a little bit of, I don't know, katsata, right? Or you're like that, Sometimes it doesn't matter, right? That doesn't mean you will not be reborn in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. You will be, as long as you fulfill these four requirements, right? So so that is why there have been many legends and stories about, I remember one of my guru's grandmother, also great grandmother, mother's mother, grandmother, Every time she used to practice Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, and then when she was about to die, she said that I do not need anyone to pray for me because I can see Amitabha Buddha coming to welcome me to his Pure Land. So she was able to die with the grace, with the joy, right? Because as I said yesterday, because of her practice, even when she was surrounded by the well or the family or whatever, she understood as a conceptual illusion, conditionally existing, not inherently existing. So even if you are, we might think that if you have this kind of thing, then you cannot, utilize material. But it's very different. For example, you have a nice watch or you have a nice handbag that is worth like $10,000 and it's a very branded thing, right? But in your heart, whether you really believe it's valuable or whether you believe it's a conceptually valuable, depending on that attitude, how you deal with very different. Right? If you have a deeply ingrained belief that I have this branded watch, I have this branded bag or cloth or this I don't know, and it's so good to me, it's so important to me, then every time you will try to show it off. Every picture you will try to put it in, make sure that LV can be seen, right? And if you lose it or somebody gets crushed, you may get a heart attack. Physically you may feel the pain, right? But if you even though you're wearing it because maybe you like it or maybe your job or the society, there's a concept, you just wear it. But if you're wearing it knowing that, that there is no such a thing, inherent value in anything. Value is, first, not only value itself is a concept. On top of that, even the watch you are wearing or the bag, expensive bag also, if you break down into what is the expensive atom, you won't find it. Even the most expensive, bag, you take out the brand, the logo, you take out the stitching, you tear the leather and look for where is the LV? You will not find Louis Vuitton. There is no Louis Vuitton that is existing inherently and solidly. There is nothing, right? Even if you look for your husband, also if your husband asks you, where am I? You can say, is his hair is your husband? Is his nose is your husband? Right? Which is your husband? You can't really pinpoint one single thing existing inherently as, this is my husband. His nose is the husband, right? Then tomorrow if you have to have a nose surgery, then you have no longer, you don't have a husband, right? So even when you say someone is my husband or think, physically speaking also is all of this, like yesterday, like the Buddha said, when the wood and the kerosene all come together, there's something called fire exists. Where does the fire come from? Where does the fire go? It comes from nowhere, it goes nowhere. That's why in the Geshe Lal, in the first line is Gangi Chukun Dong Mesikyam, who has understood there's no coming and going, right? Where has things arise come from there? When these conditions come together, so-called physical house, so-called, the sound, the thoughts, so looks so real and existing, but it's an illusion. Illusion is something that due to condition it makes you look is real, but there is no inherent existing. So that is, illusion doesn't mean you can't see or you can't touch. Even if you can touch, it can still be illusion. Even if you can hear, it can still be illusion because it doesn't have inherent reality. So that is why, so these four qualities, going back now, the dedication, these four qualities. And then now, what kind of people will not be able to go into get reborn Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, right? There are two types of people who will not be able to reborn Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. So these two types, the first one is people who have committed the 5 heinous deeds, right? 5 extremely negative karma, which means the 5, if you've killed your father, killed your mother, killed the enlightened being, Arahat, you have harmed the Buddha, physically harmed the Buddha. You have created division within the Sangha. If you have, for example, there is 2 Buddhist groups here, Mahayana, Vajrayana, or within Vajrayana, there's one Drupa here, one Nyingma there, one whatever, right? It's up to you to follow whichever tradition you want to. That's up to you. Right? That's your past karma, your spiritual heritage, your appreciation. That's fine. But if you begin to say that, oh, this is bad, you create division between them, between the sangha, or between even the same group also, you make it into a group, and then let them, the very same sangha, who from whom you receive the same teaching, same, you create division and disharmony, right? And so if there's disharmony in the sangha, that is the worst, because everybody has enough headache in their life, They don't want to come to Dharma world to get away from the headache, They don't want Dharma to be even more headache and more political, So that's why the spiritual world, we have to keep it pure through the harmony, right? Otherwise, when we come to temple, instead of temple being a refuge, temple being a place where you are not judged, where nobody judges you, everybody encourages you to be the best of you, best version of you, to see the positive side in you. If you start to making the temple and the sangha into divisive and divisions, then you are destroying the place of spirituality. So that is a very bad negative karma. So anyway, this is not the 5 heinous karma, but one of the 5, creating division between the sanghas. So these 5 kind of is very difficult to be reborn in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. And then the 5th, 6th one is the ones who is called the Chepongile. So Chepongile is saying that, oh, my tradition is better, or Drupal lineage is very good, this lineage is very bad. Mahayana is very good, Theravada is bad. These are called Che means Dharma, Pong means to giving up, right? Because whether it's a Mahayana or Vajrayana or Drupal lineage or this lineage, that lineage, all of them come from the Buddha's mind, Buddha's teaching. All of them teaches the same thing, Practices might be different, specialty different, thing, but ultimately they are coming from the Buddha. So when you start to say, let go or criticize and, the letting go of the kind of, the projecting, you are rejecting the Buddha's Dharma. So that is not only bad for you, but also you encourage other people to, do certain thing like that, Then it's all saying, oh, this guru is very bad, my guru is better, you come here, join this group, Oh, this lineage is very bad, you should do like that. We shouldn't say like that, because according to their own karma, they have joined this tradition. If it's benefiting them, it's fine. But we can appreciate it. For example, if you are born in Himalayan country, for example, if you are Bhutanese, then I would say that Guru Padma Sambhava and Shabdung Rinpoche has done so much for the country. Remember them with a gratitude as your spiritual heritage. That's okay. There is a sense of gratitude. But that does not mean that if you have gratitude to some, the enlightened master, just because we are grateful to Jizindrima, we shouldn't criticize Guru Padma Sambhava, no? Oh, Guru Padma Sambhava has not done anything to you, no? Right? Just because of your own thing, So anyway, so that kind of the 5 heinous, if you've killed your father and mother, killing arhat, creating division between sangha, physically harming, and someone who criticizes the different traditions. Even other religion also is not recommended to criticize unless there is a reason for it. Generally speaking, we shouldn't criticize any religion or anybody also actually. Criticizing will never improve anyone anyway. Who are we to criticize and judge others unless you are enlightened and Buddha and without any fault, then we can criticize other people. So anyway, so other than these people, any one of us can be born, and not only that, in the Devachan Gishingam, it is said that you do all the 4 qualities needed to be born Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. Visualizing Amitabha Buddha and his pure land with devotion, accumulating merit purification, and the bodhicitta heart and the dedication. But in your heart, you have a doubt. I don't think I'll be reborn Amitabha Buddha Pure. Is it really true? Maybe I'm not a very good person, Saturday, Sunday I do some drinking on the side, Maybe I might not go there, right? If you feel like that, it's actually said that if you are like that, then you will be reborn Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. But because you had the doubt, that doubt is also a form of negative karma, doubting the enlightened Buddha's word. Because of that, you will be reborn Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, but in Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, it is said you are born through the lotus, in the lotus. The lotus will not open for 500 years. So you can listen to Amitabha Buddha's teaching, but you cannot see him for 500 years because of negative karma, of the sin, the sin. So that's why, as I mentioned earlier, if you have that kind of conviction, like my guru's great grandmother, during day-to-day life, she saw the illusory nature of the phenomena. So maybe she was enjoying a nice life, but with understanding, without strong grasping. That's why I think, that if you have that kind of understanding, whatever you're wearing or whatever job you're having, position you're having, relationship you might be in, it will become, there will be behind deep in your heart, there will be a relaxation, right? So that means somebody, today you're backward stolen. Really, what can I do? Nothing you can do. Okay. Then let me dedicate, get some marriage, Gyalwa, Nirdutta, you might say, right? Because deep in your heart, that strong grasping is not there. Right? It's similarly attitude towards anything, right? Relationship, fame, power. Today you are no longer famous. Now somebody else is trending. Okay. Really, it's okay. I see. It doesn't matter. Fame is also, very much conceptual thing, conditional thing. It's not something that is solidly real. That something called fame is something scientists have now identified. It is, in this world. There's nothing like that. Right? So that's why I think that my guru's great grandmother, in day-to-day life also, even though from outside she might look like a normal, having a husband, having a children, doing whatever her day-to-day life, but I think she was able to let go of these concept of things existing inherently real, so very relaxed way. And in her heart also she knew about the promise of Amitabha Buddha. She prayed, she prepared, and so when she will pass away, she was able to go in a very joyful manner. But we are usually the opposite. When we are living also, we have so many concepts. Because of these concepts in our life become more concepts, more kind of fanatic concepts we have, more actually life becomes very difficult too, right? Because if you live with somebody else also, then you have so many concepts about what they should say to you. Maybe you have a concept that they should say good morning to you, right? But maybe they just came from the Himalaya and they have no idea we have to say good morning, right? Then you have so many concepts about how other people should be, shouldn't be, this be, then everything starts to irritate you, because you cannot accept that what you think is good and is something that is conceptual, not inherently existing, right? For example, in Bhutan, when we greet each other, we say like this, right? In New York, if you go and say like this, everybody will think, what? This must be crazy, right? Let's go and take him to, call 911, right? You go to Times Square and start saying, Kuzangbo, bowing down your head, right? So that's, so when you come to New York, you have to relax your concept of the greeting and say, oh, hello, I realized that now I say have a good day, but I realized once I came to America, I learned that they don't say have a good day, they say have a good one, right? So I have to learn to let go of my have a good day. This is a very British, I think, kind of saying, and I say have a good one, right? Have a good day is also a conceptual greeting. Have a good one is also a greeting, right? Tashitelek or Kuzuzangbo or Namaste is also a conceptual greeting, right? So why do we have to be that, like a kind of, tight about it, right? Tight, So when we have so much tightness, after some time, this tightness in our life, tightness how our husband should behave, wife should behave, they should speak to me like that, they shouldn't speak to me like that. There's so much tightness everywhere, that, physically also we might become, like right? So that's why, one of the greatest signs of a practitioner is a relaxation. Yes, they will do the right thing, but in their heart there's a relaxation because they know it is conceptual, it's not inherently existing. So that's why they may carry the most expensive bag, most expensive, car, or very, whatever. But I don't think the tightness will be there if you understood, the inherently not existing nature, the illusory nature, the thing. So when there's no tightness, there's a relaxation. Where there's relaxation, there's enjoyment. People also feel happy to be in your life. Nobody wants to be with someone who is constantly judging them. This you are not doing right, this you are not doing right, this mitube, this not, who wants to be judged? We all have enough headaches in our life. Right? So that, and judgment comes from where? Maybe you might even have a very good intention. You are trying to make them into what your version of a good person should be, right? But just because you have a good intention, you have to realize even your good intention is a conceptual, right? Maybe it's a concept of that country, that particular whatever, right? It's still, And I'm not saying that you shouldn't have some structure. You have to have structure, but inside there should be relaxation, right? Relaxation about everything, relaxation, and that relaxation will come when you understand the illusory nature of the life, inherently not existing of the phenomena, right? So then the relaxation will come. So I think that's why I think she was. I think that. Anyway, so. So she was able to, like that. And there are many other stories like that. So now, when we do the Amitabha Buddha practices, there are shorter version and longer version. Right? So today I think we are on the topic of the longer version. So there are many Amitabha Buddha prayers. Amitabha actually, from Buddha Shakyamuni himself, he gave Amitabha Buddha Sutra. So from that sutra, the many masters, they took out essence and made it into sentences. So one of their few famous ones, the short one, famous one is the Mazar Sangye. Emma Mazar Sangye Nawataya. He is very famous because there's a master called Raga Ase. His disciple was Tuku Mingyur Dorje. So when he was 13 years old, he saw the Amitabha Buddha, and from Amitabha Buddha himself has said to spoken these prayers, Mazar Sangye Nawataya. So it's very short, but supposed to be full of blessing. So on a daily basis, I think you can do that. But when you have a time, maybe you have lost somebody, or maybe you yourself have got certain disease, you don't have too much to live. So how can you do? You may want to do a longer practices, right? So when you have the time, maybe also that is the time you should have a tank of Amitabha Buddha, or this one here, So Amitabha Buddha, in the ruby red colored. And remember that as Buddha Shakyamuni said, he lives for eons and eons. So Buddha Shakyamuni, Amitabha is still there, giving his teaching and, looking towards all the sentient beings, basic realms. And they are no distant to the Buddha's blessing, And then, you make an offering of, maybe offering a lamb or fruits or flower, whatever, And then remembering his promise that as long as you can remember me, from his side, his blessing is there. But from your side, you need to create a connection. If there is no ring, even the hook cannot pull you up. Even if there is a sun, if there is no window, it cannot come. So that it cannot come into your room. So from Buddha Amitabha's side, the blessing and the love and is constantly there. But we ourselves need to create that, the what you call the ring of devotion. So with that sort of understanding, look towards the western side, and then if you feel that if you are going through some, maybe you are going through or losing someone or victim, then just remember it doesn't matter, Anyway, there is nothing that is permanent in this world, right? Why is there 4 seasons? Because it's impermanent. Why did the sun rise and now sun is set? Because even that too is impermanent. Mountains are impermanent, rivers are impermanent. Every second there is impermanent. Life is like a dream, illusory, nothing existing inherently, So why get so caught up with it? Now anyway, my life may be about to end, maybe ending soon, doesn't matter. Whatever I have, my wealth, my fame, I offer to Buddha Amitabha Buddha. May myself and all sentient being be reborn Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. And with the conviction that to enlightened Buddha there is no distance, And it is one of his commitment also that I will not even waver, distract for even 1 second, but I will be able to listen to each and every prayer. So with that sort of a conviction, then you can do the longer prayer, the one that we should do. So this prayer was composed by Ketu Raga Ase. So Raga Ase was a teacher of that Tuku Mingyur Dorje, who composed who saw Amitabha Buddha and received the teaching Mazar Sangye. So Raga Ase was very special, his main practice was Amitabha Buddha Pure Land prayer. And it is said that when he passed away, and he didn't really physically kind of die, but he had a dog, chicken and egg, he took all of them and went to Amitabha Buddha Pure Land, without leaving a physical body behind. So this prayer is very popular, in the Himalayan region, the Demen Gespa, right? And this is Sutrayana. So Sutrayana means something that is derived from Buddha Shakyamuni in the sutra. So in sutra there's no visualization, there's no chanting. So that's why for the Sutrayana you don't need initiation, you don't need oral transmission. So in order to do the Dewa Chingimelam, you don't need somebody to give you oral transmission, nothing. Anybody can do it. And you don't need to do very deep, profound visualizations. All you have to do is in the westernmost direction, there's Amitabha Buddha, and now, that now anyway, either you can say now, or in the future, one day I'll have to die for sure. And when I die, may I remember the dreamlike nature of my life, right? This morning, what did I do? Who I met yesterday, now it's like a dream, nothing to show. Even if I live another 80 years also, it will be 80-year dream that I have nothing to show. Life is like a dream. So may I not be attached to that. Yes, I enjoyed my dream. I had a dream of having a wonderful husband, wife, children, fame. I was president, I'm prime minister, I was businessman, whatever. I had a dream. Now the dream will, one day will end. So now may I be rather be born Amitabha Buddha Pure Land and continue my practice in my path so that I can become enlightened for the sake of session B. As I mentioned yesterday, in our Buddhist idea of Pure Land is not like a pleasure island, You go there and have fun, eat all the time, drink all the time, and okay, any hedonistic person, I think, will say that if all your life you're drinking is seeking pleasure, eating and drinking, after some it will get very boring, right? I don't think that is the pure land that we want to be. Rather, Amitabha Buddha Pure Land is a place to continue our practice in a favorable environment and guided by the Buddhas. So may I be reborn. And then you do the prayer and then the dedication. So in the prayer also, so we will do one part today. So this part, I think I have shared the English and the Himalayan language script with all of you. When we are reciting with the prayer, we have to say this with the tune, so you can read the English meaning. Is basically it says, Emaho is a sign of how wonderful, that such a Buddha Amitabha made such aspiration, that he created such a pure land out of his compassion towards all sentient beings. And in this one, in the western direction, in the many, the millions of universe away, something and a place which is slightly more elevated than our planet Earth is the Amitabha Buddha. I may not see it able to see right now with my mind, my eyes, but just because your eye doesn't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, I think the coronavirus has proven that, you can't see coronavirus, but it does exist, and, so anyway, I can't see, but with I visualize clear in my mind, and then I visualize the Buddha, Amitabha Buddha. On his right hand is Avalokiteshvara, on his left hand is Chandradoji Vajrapani. Right? From his heart, Guru Padma Sambhava. From his right hand, Avalokiteshvara 1000, and then left Tara, surrounded by many Buddha Sattva. And for you, in your, kind of a, there's no distance in your knowledge, your awareness. So I'll be there, prostration, I prostrate to you, from my body, from my speech, from my heart, and then it goes on to say that Amitabha Buddha looks at the sentient being with a 24/7, and whatever goes through our mind, Amitabha Buddha knows. Whatever we say, Amitabha Buddha can hear, without mixing anybody's conversation. He can, each and every sentence that uttered can be, that's why Buddha Amitabha is omniscient. And unless someone who has given up the Dharma by saying this tradition is good, this Mahayana is bad, Vajrayana is good, Vajrayana is bad, giving up the Dharma, all the 5 heinous crimes have not done. Anyone with the devotion and mega aspiration will be born Amitabha Buddha. And when we are about to die, we will see the Amitabha Buddha and be the liberated, taken there. And you are still alive because you are also Buddha Amitayu, the Buddha of longevity. So, and if I pray to you, unless, as I mentioned during the time of I think the longevity yesterday or something, unless my karma, my merit, my everything is exhausted, even even if my life is about to finish, my life will be extended, to the fullest, whatever the full I have, they will know my life won't be cut short. untimely death will not be there. So that is why I prostrate to Amitabha, the Buddha of longevity. Rather than offering the entire universe filled with the jewel, if one has a devotion towards Amitabha Buddha and make an aspiration for every sentient being to be reborn, that is more merit than offering the universe. And once you have a devotion to Amitabha Buddha from depth of your heart, from then onwards you are connected to Amitabha Buddha, and you will never lose your direction in one way or another. You will find your way to Amitabha Buddha Pure Land. After you hear the Buddha Amitabha's name, from that onwards you will not be now this part, until you become enlightened. This part, if you directly translate, it kind of is a negative connotation for women. It says that you will not be born as a women, So it doesn't really mean that women are bad or men are better, It meant that during certain period of time, I think if you all know, check the history, during certain period in our age, I think it was very, very difficult life if you were born as a woman. There was no equality. You were treated like a slave, you abused. You had no voice, no right during certain period of time. And even nowadays, I think, women still have to, all between men and women has to sacrifice much more. Who is the one that bears the children for 9 months in the mother's womb, and looks after the children? Gives so much of sacrifice is usually the women. They're actually much, in terms of strength and courage, I think women are much more stronger. I read somewhere that there was a research saying that men take more holiday from the work than women, because women are used to so much of challenge in their life that they can bear much more pain, than the men. We have not gone through the, having child and all of so many the challenges and difficulty that, so I think, in terms of strength, I would say that women are much more stronger. So anyway, it's said like, and also in the description it is said that, and it is said like that. So anyway, so that's why, now maybe it's different, I think in 21st century, I think, men and women, I think okay, nowadays, especially in America, I think it should be okay, right? I do not know how is the gender equality here, So anyway, and then Serap Kundu Sutum Namtangyu, Teshayapa Mela Chancellor. And then and this is the accumulation of the merit, my body, my wealth, my everything, whatever I have, what I visualize, everything I offer to Buddha, Amitabha Buddha. And as I mentioned earlier, offering is the art of, secretly is letting go of the concept. Is not, because if you can't let go of the concept, letting go of the concept is more important than actually letting go. Right? If you can let go of somebody, you can let go of object, but in your mind, if you can't let go of that idea, that concept, it will still bother you a lot. If you let go of the mind, it doesn't really matter. Whatever physically things do not come and hit on you. It's your mind that that creates the attachment. So that's why the offering is from the bodies, the thing letting go. And next is the purification. Whatever negative karma I have done, may they be purified. And then negative karma, and then it goes into the different negative karma that people do. For example, like killing monks, destroying temple, and then also, when I don't know, in some of our Himalayan region, whenever we take also, we use the name of the 3 jewels. We say, I didn't do like that, But that's also very big, even if it's the truth you are speaking also, is a very negative karma. So we shouldn't really use the 3 jewels name, even when we take oath also, it's a negative karma. And then and then criticizing the bodhisattvas, So criticizing bodhisattva doesn't mean that it has to be a monk or a nun or a master or a tuku or a rinpoche. Bodhisattva can come in any form, can come as a man, woman, king, businessman, even a butcher also, you do not know. Bodhisattva is someone who works for the benefit of all the sentient beings, and they can come in any form. So that, and if he, and it's not recommended to criticize, put hindrance on them, because their work to benefit other sentient beings get disturbed. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, that unless you are, like a cultural minister or some sort of judge or something, We shouldn't really judge other people. What is the point of judging? By saying bad things about other people, you may feel good, but you actually haven't become better. You just feel good in relation to them, relation to that person. And by criticizing others will not improve anyway. Right? Rather, if you see the positive side in them, encourage them. They are positive. They might be improved. So that's what criticizing others, the judging, gossiping, is nothing. You get nothing except bad karma. So that is why the criticizing, and then the terminating and so on, and then this talk about other types of the broken promises that you make, and then and also it says you receive many teachings and many commitments, but you do not do anything. And then and then it says whatever mistakes you have done, if there is no regret, there is no purification. There should be a regret. It's awareness, acceptance, right? And when you say regret also, regret doesn't mean, you have to make a distinction that regret doesn't mean that I am a bad person. Rather, we have to understand that my fundamental nature is, of course, the Buddha, but due to bad habit, I have, made so many mistakes, and now I want to change. That distinction is important, because, when you say that I am bad, you are saying that my fundamental nature is bad. Then it's like asking a gold to become a diamond, right? Gold, something black to become a white, black stone to become a white. You can't, right? And just few days ago, we were talking about how in the kingdom of Bhutan, in the very compassionate and wise king, I think the fourth king abolished the capital, punishment. There's no death sentence. So from my understanding, I think it's because, the fundamental idea of the Buddha nature is that every sentient being have a Buddha nature, the potential to be good, but due to bad habit, they become bad. For example, nobody is born alcoholic from the mother's womb. They don't come out with the alcohol bottle, or a drug, heroin in the pouch. The habit, and the circumstance, habit basically. So that's why, if we believe that fundamentally people are bad, you should put them all in the prison. The moment they are born, just put them in the jail, right? Why give advice to the children also? But if you believe that fundamentally we have the Buddha nature, the potential for good, but due to habit of past life, present life, people become negative. And even the imprisonment advice is so that we can create an environment where they're away from the negative habit. There's positive habit, so that their positiveness will come out. That is the reason why I give advice to people, why we give teaching, why we also try to do practice, so that we can overcome the negative habit and our own true nature will come out. If fundamental nature is bad, then there's no point. So that's why when you do regret also, if you do regret with that, there is a strength in that regret. There's a recognition that there's something beautiful inside you, which is covered by the negative habit. You may be a great alcoholic right now, but you know that your nature is not alcoholic. Your habit is alcoholic. You may be someone who is very short-tempered right now, but that's your habit, not your nature. Because your nature is the Buddha nature. Nobody's nature is alcoholic or anger. If it's anger is your nature, then there's nothing you can do about it. Right? So that is why the regret also, if you do it in that way, it will give you encouragement actually. And every time you do a purification, it will be a sense of, giving yourself a fresh start. Create, it's like a fresh start every day, every time you do a purification. So that's why the purification should be understood like that. And then, of course, the 7 branches, the same. Instead of jealousy, we rejoice. Instead of the negative karma, 10 negative karma, we do the 10 positive, right? For example, instead of killing, you do saving life. Instead of stealing, you are generous. Instead of having no ethical at all, you have a certain ethics, right? Even if you are not monk or nun, doesn't matter. At least one of the ethics, even for a beginner, is that I will not come between somebody else's husband and wife. That is the baseline ethic, right? You cannot say that I am a Vajrayana, I can do whatever I want. At least the 5 precepts is the basic precept that all of us have to. Even if you're a yogi, unless you're a great yogi, enlightened maybe is different, but But if you're a yogi like that, then you have to be like a tupakunle, you can kill the animal, eat them, make them momo, and after somebody uses them, and they all come back alive again. Then that's different. We have reached that level. Until then, we must firstly respect the law of the karma. So basic law of the karma, the 5 precepts, not killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, especially the big lies, and alcohol. These are the 5 precepts that every Buddhist practitioner must keep. On top of that, if you can have other precepts, it's very good. But these 5 precepts, I think we have to try our best to observe. So and then the dedication and all dedication, and finally is the dedication that because of my the 7 branch practice, may we have in this life while we are alive, may we be free from obstacle, live to the full length of our life. May we have a wealth in order to benefit sentient being. May I be free from obstacle in my practice, in my life. May I have a meaningful life. So this part is the 7 branch prayer. And then this part now onwards is, I think, what we will talk tomorrow, is about when you're about to die, how the Buddha Amitabha comes, and what kind of attitude you should have, right? So today we will do the prayer from here now.
Nyame mi da 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 mibra madobe zize bayan loja tubana imi jiwa mali dobara zon gomba yeba mela jazelo tozon jide ranja drone ba rinje giba jiba jiba Eba me bete dan dewa je, tene debe demo jajena, tene debe sana jiwa so, deje yeba me la gujase, kaje yeba me bete done, kaje me barani go ribede. Neje zamje deba gewana dene janjo lamla jemendo gumbo yeba mela jazelo zamje yeba mebe zendene dene janjo nimbo madoba bune nige rige zambogi Gendo zere namdai zo deje yeba mela jazelo agir da lonje geza je nezo je jeba jije yonder da je zeda rinje de yene droba dozo jidenge Nisheri ra nida jawa ja la lo mi longe danje ke loye la de ye ba me la bu da la benje do je do ye ame do ra da zo do ye to ma me ve de ne da de Soje maje lada mizanje Bige mige zumbo doloja Zida jama zizo maje wa Maje mige jibo doloja Naze neze lo paradawa de Yige mige zumbo doloja Amalabe jajo zevada Yue gula yezen yevada Sane maye leza doloja Gelon gece zedan zebaba Kuzon jude lagon shilazo Nire zemen duje doloja Kunjo lava zora de zonzo Anje zuzo nezo la zoba Sheba de nye zaba doloja Kamzo zemje zelen de jewa Chanju zemba namla kurwa da Deme di je zaba doloja Gere bere dibe nye da Nye du nye zeze la soba Tujani deje Yezamba zame ngare tuwe lenye ba Pane lenye zaba doloja Pamba jida lama juzonda Pando zoja nije dize ma Zoda didren jewa doloja Abu juje duwa ngana ge Jaze laba nyamba doloja Sato juje yala pombo ge Samay damzi nyamba doloja Dewa majo mige leje ma Mizan jeda janto la soba Rashi gana madu dikwa di Dikwa di do maje doloja
So this part, is the first. This part is we have visualized, or we remember the Amitabha Buddha's pure land, and Amitabha Buddha seated on 1,000-petal lotus. On the right is Shenrilzi, left is the Vajrapani, surrounded by all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, looking at us with a smiling, and with full of love and compassion towards all of us, able to hear every word was. So once you have remembered the Buddha Amitabha, and even if you can't do visualization, if you can just remember, that's good enough, because this is not a Vajrayana, this is Sutrayana. But just to remember, just to have a short glimpse that Amitabha Buddha is there, that's also good enough. Then after that, we have basically doing the purification accumulation merit through the 7th branch. So since we all have done Dhara practice now, so we know that 7 branches are basically, prostration, offering, purification, rejoicing instead of jealousy, rejoicing in the merits of others, devotion, Gyalwa, requesting the Buddhas to give teaching, requesting live long, and then the dedication. So these are till now what we have done is visualizing the Amitabha Buddha Pure Land and Mandala, and the 7 branch practice in a much more elaborate way. So this is what we have done. And the next level is the, I think that when we are about to die, may we see Amitabha Buddha surrounded by, and may I have this kind of attitude, and may I have a joy, may I have no fear. So this preparation for the kind of aspiration for preparation for the actual when the time of death comes. So this prayer part and the talk about we will do tomorrow.